Let's kick off with Basil Read. Founded in 1952, it's headquartered on the Eastrand. The group is diversified across all major divisions of the construction, property development, contract mining and engineering sectors. Now, the group announced earnings for the year ended the 31st of December 2011 earlier today, showing headline earnings per share were down by 33% to 139 cents. Janine, I think let's kick off with you because you attended the results presentation today, and let's get your view on the quality of the order book that is currently standing at 14 billion rand, increased by 65% during this period. But what are your views on the health of that?
I think the order book is quite healthy. About 4.5 billion rand is made up out of the St. Helena project, which is 3.1 billion, and then that 1.5 billion rand TCTA project that they got as well for water infrastructure. The rest of the construction book looks relatively stable, not real growth. And then we're seeing good growth as well in order book from mining and from engineering, which has been lagging for some time since they acquired TWP. It's only coming into fruition now. So I think it's a pretty solid order book if you're looking at construction in general in this current market.
Okay, so Paul, I'm not even sure if you like the construction sector right now, but if you're looking at a company with an operating margin in the construction space where 70% of its earnings comes from, at around 2% and actually 1.9%, 1.96% to be exact, would you be touching them right now?
Look, we're talking about quite small companies here. You know, when we talk on hot stocks, we talk about market cap and the valuation. These companies are all sort of 2 billion and below that we're talking about tonight. So we're talking about relatively small companies and ones with relatively volatile earnings. Because we know construction companies, it's 7 fat years followed by 7 thin years. And it's very tough to call the cyclical point. But I think Janine makes some good points. I mean, St. Helena is a big airport project on that island. I've actually been to St. Helena. You had to go by boat. A shocking little floating jetty that you had to jump off, nearly losing your life in the process. So you can understand why the Brits want to put a forward airbase in there. So that's a worthwhile project. I think the company is quite well positioned. I guess the real question for me, and I think Janine must give her comments on this is a stock which has risen like 40% in the last couple of months. Not so long ago, you could have bought them for around 10 rand. They're trading at around 14, 70, 15. They're anticipating an improving set of results going forward. And the question is now the time to buy them, given what we know about what lies ahead for them as a business?
Well, Janine, just give us your views on areas of growth for the company and specifically focusing in on the mining sector right now, where I know that they've got a JV focused on in Botswana. They're looking at operating profit margins of 11.5% there, so a lot stronger than the other parts of their business. So how does that stack up in terms of growth opportunities right now?
Well, if you talk to management, they say that they want to grow mining and engineering, those two divisions, to be the same size as construction, which I think is a very good way to go, because you're looking at construction at a margin, well, currently at 1.9, but they had some loss-making contracts there. So let's talk about 4%, where engineering has got about 9% margin and mining's got 11% margin. So if they can actually grow that business, which now is only accounting for 30% contribution to revenues, but the majority of the profits, then it's going to be earnings enhancing for them going forward as well. And it's a niche business, especially engineering. TWP has got a reputation years and years long, and they are moving into South America and Australia as well.
Australia and South America.
Yes, for the engineering, and they are the biggest in Africa in terms of engineering. So really good niche divisions that they're busy growing. And if that can grow to the size of the construction as a whole, then I think that they heading the right way, definitely.
Another area of growth that they've highlighted is their green energy division. They're focusing on this as a high growth space right now. And some are even going as far to say that the renewable energy build program could be the next World Cup for South Africa, the catalyst for the construction sector. Let's first get your views on its space right now.
Yeah, I saw they'd taken a stake in a company that had got a preferential bidder down in the PE area. Look, all of the construction companies have done that because they've attempted to diversify their activities, and that's good. I mean, that is a positive. And I think Marius Haynes, the CEO, is good at that corporate finance type stuff. So he's done some selective acquisitions, and even buying TWP in the first place, which was a listed company by way of consolidation, was probably a good move. But yeah, let me stop there because I want to make some other points about the share price. But I think Janine needs to come in there and tell us whether that
Okay, so let's get your views firstly,
works.
and what did management have to say about the green energy division right now?
But it's not just Basil Read that's getting onto this whole renewable energy bandwagon. I mean, Group 5 they're expanding it dramatically as well.
Even
And
Exxaro has
yes,
a lot of companies in South Africa.
In terms of infrastructure in general, that is the trend that the government is moving to as well. So you have to be in on renewable energy. I think what they have that's probably going to be more competitive, give them a competitive advantage, is that that whole engineering side is working with them, and the Basil Read Matomo TWP projects, everything together. So they've got the critical mass to actually do these projects, and they've been building on it for quite some time. So when it comes into play that the projects actually come out, they will be well geared towards making money.
Well, I remember actually speaking in 2009 to TWP about this, and this was before the tenders were all awarded. This was before even the price for renewable energy was set, and they were very much gearing themselves towards this growth area.
Yeah, they've been very bullish about it as well. And what Marius Haynes as well mentioned today is that they have had the staying power to sit on projects that maybe took longer than on average to materialize. But having waited, I mean, St. Helena took 10 years to actually be awarded. Having waited and having all the plans in place, they're first at the starting block when it gets awarded. So it pays off in the end.
So it's that time of the section where we look at whether the stock is hot or not. Paul, let's start with you. You've mentioned the fact that we've seen pretty much a rally in the stock price. Does it have legs for you?
I'm worried about this whole section of the market for reasons to do with the fact that it's tough to call the point in the cycle when you ought to buy them. So I'm going to pass or say not hot, but I know that Janine has got a better view.
So you're passing the buck onto Janine with a not hot. Janine, your view?
Well, I think it's hot. If you look at the order book going forward, it's not concentrating that much on general civil, general contracting. It's concentrating on engineering, which is it's a high growth area. If you look at from feasibility study to execution, and they're moving into processing plants as well, which is away from construction in general. And then in terms of the mining, they're taking advantage of that as well. Now, the South African market at the moment in terms of construction is bad. Roads, non-existent, which they have alluded to picking up a bit. But they're not really exposed to the general construction that's really hampering the markets at the moment. Yeah, so they're good in terms of diversification. Yeah. So I think that in looking at...
Are we looking at a
Basil
sizzling
Read,
hot or just a hot?
Well, it's run quite a bit. I just think that it's probably it's a hot stock going forward, but I think it's run quite a bit, so you're not going to get the upside in the next 6 months. But definitely, if you buy in and wait it out, you will be rewarded, I think.
Okay, so we've got one not and one hot so far for Basil Read.